Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 2, episode 3 of Up the Buff. And we're going to be focusing on season 2, episode 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is called School Hard.
Hard.
We're joined by the wonderful Amanda G. That's my wee sister, who went down a treat on the season 2 premiere when she was bad. I don't know why I said it like that. When she was a very bad girl.
A very, very bad girl, Gaga.
How are you doing, chick?
Yeah, not bad. Just
Boring.
I'm rubbing off on you, the accent.
No thanks.
You're my sister.
Only by blood.
Oh, God. What is wrong with this family?
This episode was originally broadcast on September 29th, 1997. You requested this episode, didn't you, chick?
Yes, it's one of my favorites because it has my favorite ever vampire from everything that has vampires in it. And it's Spike.
Yes.
William the Blood Eye.
It's it's a very quite dark episode. Well, I love season 2 is very dark. In general.
I feel like this really, because it's his like debut into it really sets the tone for season 2.
Well, yeah, this is our introduction to Spike and Drusilla, who become literally iconic characters for the rest of the entire series.
Yeah. And I think it was really interesting because obviously I've seen Buffy before, going back to see him at the start and the development that you see throughout the series, of the whole series. So you really see him at, at his most primal level, I think, here. You see his real characteristics in this episode, and then he develops throughout the seasons.
Right, calm down, we're not there yet.
All right. I'm just obsessed.
One of my little random facts about this episode is, do you know that this is actually the first episode to reveal that Buffy's mum's name is Joyce?
Is it?
Yeah.
But I actually did, when I was watching it, I thought, she looks so young here, Joyce.
Yeah, she does.
So I actually Googled it, and she was, because I actually wrote a note, and she was actually born in 1958. So that would make her not even 40 in this episode.
In 50, so she's 39?
Yeah.
Oh my God, so she's a year older than me?
Yes. And she's got a teenager.
But you're so old.
So the episode starts with Snyder, and he's giving a little pep talk to a girl called Sheila and to Buffy. And Buffy looks so cute. She's got a wee beaded embroidery top on.
Yes.
Some lovely beaded details. And she's got these little pigtails. They're dead cute, so they are. And Snyder's basically saying to her and Sheila that he's comparing how bad they are to each other. And he says, one of you stabbed a horticulture teacher with a trowel. And she's like, actually, it was pruning shears. and the other one has burnt down multiple school buildings or whatever.
Well, that was never proven. The fire marshal said it could have been mice.
Mice.
Mice that were smoking.
Smoking mice.
Which I thought was quite funny.
That. I thought it was good.
And Snyder basically puts them in charge of running the parent-teacher night, including the decorations, the refreshment. It's 2 people for a whole school.
Making the food and everything.
I know. I was like, what the actual... I just want to know if they got reimbursed.
Probably not.
And he says basically, if you do this, it'll go in good favor. And the girl, she was like, what does the winner get? And he's like, expelled. And then we kind of cut straight outside. Buffy's with Xander and Willow outside the school, and Willow's wearing these lovely wee black dungarees. She's just dungaree queen this season.
She was already smoking in 5th grade. Once I was lookout for her.
You're bad to the bone.
I'm a rebel.
Yeah, I'm a rebel. I love her little quirks like that. But what I loved was when Xander was like, well, at least everything should go well. There's no baddies in town. There's nothing going on. And the girls just hound him for that.
Xander basically says, oh, well, as long as nothing bad happens between now and then.
Are you crazy? What did you say that for? Now something bad is gonna happen.
What do you mean nothing's gonna happen?
Not until some dummy says, as long as nothing bad happens.
It's the ultimate jinx.
What were you thinking? Were we even thinking at all?
And they're just raging at him. And I love Willow's got this wee Claire accessories choker on,
Yes.
like a wee 99p one.
Yeah. What, like the little tattoo ones?
Yeah, the one that like it stretches, like it's made of like a wee plastic wire or something. You know those
Yeah.
ones?
I've got one of them still. I should have worn it.
You're a goth. And then we cut to nighttime and it's a welcome to Sunnydale sign. And a car crashes right through it. And then we have the iconic entrance from a sexy looking vampire played by James Marsters. And he's like, home sweet home.
I absolutely love this man so much. And it just, yeah, I just thought he's so beautiful
He's
as a
gorgeous.
vampire.
Yeah, he does look so good as a vampire. And I like that, like, any of the vampires that are like more full-time characters, they almost have like a very personalized vampire face that like really suits them. So he does look very quite evil. He's very dark in and around the eyes as well. They're
Mm.
kind of red-ish kind of looking because he's very like Billy Idol, like. And Buffy
Yeah.
jokes in like season 7 or whatever that Billy Idol actually like stole his look from Spike.
Yes.
And he's
Yeah.
got the wee scar like on his eyebrow. And we go straight into the credits. And then when we come out of the credits, we've got some vampires talking about the master being dead and someone has to take his place. And you've got wee gay Colin sitting there. And they're talking about the night of St. Vigius coming up. And the vampire says when he kills the Slayer, it's going to be the greatest night since the crucifixion. And I should know I was actually there. And that's when Spike comes in and he's like, if every vampire who said they're at the crucifixion were actually at the crucifixion, that would be like Woodstock, ain't it, you fucking slag?
But what I loved about that vampire, the one who was like, oh yeah, I was there. I should know I was there. He's literally wearing a cardigan.
Yeah.
And I
I
just
did notice
thought,
that actually.
it's just like, it's like a soft cardigan jacket shape. And I thought, there's no way, not with that cardigan, there's no way you killed a Slayer. Just no
I love
way.
that. I love that the anointed one is like being a sassy wee bitch. He's like, yeah, but can you do it?
Yeah.
He's like the anointed Cher, baby. Yeah, can you kill the Slayer for me? Oh. And Spike tells him that he's killed 2 Slayers, and he starts telling the story about how he killed one during the Boxer Rebellion. In enters Drusilla, the fantastic Juliette Landau playing Drusilla, and we meet her and hear this iconic kind of creepy voice and her epic manicure that she got. She always has epic manicures.
Look at all the people. Are these nice people?
We're getting along.
She looked, when you first see her, she looked so angelic. And the way she was lit, it was almost very hazy, soft focus lighting. So you sort of have this idea that she's going to be a weak, frail,
Yeah.
crazy little person.
Well, yeah, obviously
Um,
that's something they're building up, is that we don't really know. She doesn't have all of this like confidence or strength, at least when she's like,
Spike, kill her for princess. I love the way she said Spike because it's like Spike. Like,
Right, rude boy.
but I do, oh my God, I think,
Kill her for
princess. Do you think that she was probably the best person to play that, Juliet? And Drusilla, for me, was such an iconic character.
yeah,
I just feel like, I know she's mentally not there, but I feel like I resonate with her more
yeah,
than
she's mentally
anyone
unstable.
else. Oh yeah, definitely. But
But
no, I
that's the
do.
thing I love about her, is that even in her kind of insanity, it's all very, she actually sees what's really going to happen. It's just kind of spoken in like in riddles.
Riddles. Yeah.
So it is actually very truthful. And that's what I quite like about Drusilla.
Kill her for
Yeah.
princess.
And Spike says that
Spike.
Kill her for me, Spike. Right, rude boy.
it's like Stacey Dooley.
Alright, get in the fucking chairs. You got 60 minutes to do this makeup. Look at me, you fucking slag.
So yeah, Spike says me and Drusilla, we're moving in. And then Spike is like, well, how about this Slayer? is she tough? And we cut to Buffy brushing her hair, and she's like, "Ow."
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was really quite funny.
Yeah, it was quite good. That juxtaposition. So it was.
Yes,
And
yes.
Joyce comes into Buffy's room and she tells her that she's got a reminder in the post about parent teacher night. And Buffy doesn't seem overly thrilled, but she says, "I always bring a pen to class."
Yeah, and I'm ready to absorb the knowledge.
I think yeah, and her mum is like, "Well, how is that absorption rate reflected in your test scores?" So then Buffy's like,
What can you really tell about a person from a test score?
and Joyce is like, "Whether or not you're ever gonna be your friends again."
Oh, that.
It's just great. Love our big Joyce. And Joyce just launches full on into giving Buffy a guilt trip about not being kicked out of school again.
Yeah. Because I had to write notes on this because I thought, what an actual terrible mother. Because she was like, we moved because of you. I had to start a new business because of you. I don't want to be disappointed in you again. And I was like,
Yeah.
what a full class bitch.
But also very honest because Buffy really was, from Joyce's view, without knowing the truth. We only feel bad because we know about Buffy, but from the
Mhm.
outside, it's like your kid's burning down fucking school buildings and
Yeah.
doesn't really have a good reason except for
Reason
smoking
for it.
mice. Because I was definitely quite harsh on Joyce during season 1. But obviously, I soften a bit more to Joyce this year, even though she's technically a bit worse. But it's because I know what's coming,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
poor
And I
thing.
think it is because she's not in the world
I think
of
it's because
Buffy yet.
I'm also older and I know what it's like to move to a new place and have to start a new job and to meet new friends. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, same, but I done it when I was a lot younger. So
Oh my God, sorry. I
that
burped.
was like a Barney bear
Oops.
from The
Barney.
Simpsons.
Oh,
From The
remember
Simpsons,
Barney?
the
I thought you meant the dinosaur.
no, you
Barney.
know the alcoholic Barney.
Oh, yes. That sounds like
That one.
me. But Buffy tells her that she's really trying. She's just under a lot of pressure. And then Buffy's mom's like, "Well, wait till you get a job." And then Buffy like opens her drawer. And
And it's
then
got a knuckle duster in there.
I know I love all the stuff she's got like hidden in there.
But I thought I've
Um,
never seen her use a knuckle duster before.
I know I wish she had have actually used it. Would be class. She should just
Yeah.
work for fighting.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I have a job. A
But it was
blowing
almost
job."
like
Bow, chicka,
it was
wow,
almost like
wow.
the fourth wall broke. She didn't quite look at the camera, but she sort of looked
Yeah.
in the mirror and went, I have a
I have a
job.
job. Mom, I've got a job. Mom, I've got a job. It's me, Cher. I'm a full-time Cher impersonator. Impersonate um, I'll try not to keep doing Cher impressions this whole episode.
Wagon wheel Watusi.
But we cut to the school and they're painting a sign, and the sign's actually class. It's like made by a proper sign maker, it looks like, even though it's just meant to be Buffy
Yeah.
and Willow and Xander. I think it looks great. Willow's wearing a Scooby-Doo t-shirt, and Buffy looks class as well because she's wearing like
Yeah.
dungarees and this cute little top that says like delicious or something.
Yeah,
on it.
it's like it was like luscious, I think it was.
And Giles and Jenny come over, and to be fair, Jenny's dressed really rare in this episode. It doesn't feel like Jenny to me at all. She's went from being like jeans and like leather jacket to being like long maxi dress and a lemon cardigan. And like, no thanks, Jenny. Jenny has basically figured out that there's been a miscalculation in some date, and that Saturday is going to be the night of St. Vigius. And Buffy says, "Let me guess, you didn't make balloon animals." And Buffy says to Giles, like, "Well, if I survive parent-teacher night tomorrow, I'll see what I can do about Saturday." And Giles kind of scolds her and says, "Buffy, you need to not let your life get in the way of all of your slaying," which just feels a wee bit like, I know it's very Giles, but it just feels very not. It's like sometimes they just have to remind us that Giles is a watcher.
watcher.
Willow and Xander offer to help. And he's like, well, he says to Buffy, you should be doing this because you are, after all, the slay. And as he goes to say slay, they see Snyder. And Giles says, slaves, you're all slaves to the TV.
Which I thought was a really quick recovery because I don't think
Yeah, it
I'd be able
was.
to recover that quick.
So Snyder comes over and he's like, I hope Willow and Xander aren't helping you instead of Sheila. And Sheila shows up looking like she's being dragged through her head backwards.
I love her. She's so like.
Oh yeah, totally Valley
You really
girl.
burns out. You really burns out her
But there is
building.
something about her that really annoys me. I actually hate her so much.
Yeah, yeah. She's just so.
She's like a Valley girl, but like trying to be bad.
Cool.
Yeah, like a kind of got. It's like Kelly Osbourne kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Shut up! You're running your voice. Shut up! I'm sick of
I don't
the
remember that.
noise.
You should remember you were her twin.
She banned me on Twitter.
Snyder in this episode really reminds me of Mr. Leonard.
Yes, I actually wrote on that how much he reminds me of him.
Yeah, they're both
Like,
like wee leprechauns.
yeah, but he almost looks
Leprechaun.
demonic as well.
Well, it's because maybe psychologically, if you've seen the character he plays in Star Trek, because he's got like the big
No, I
ears.
haven't.
Remember I had the toy of him, Ferengi?
Yes, I didn't
Yeah.
realize I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, that was him. I don't know why I had that. I loved that toy. He was always in my plays.
Mm.
I wish I still had some of my Buffy toys.
Yeah,
Remember the one with the leather jacket and like the
yeah,
jeans? Love that one.
yeah.
And this is where we cut to where we're in the bronze. And I
Right.
don't know if you noticed the guy in the red shirt dancing. He's like,
No, it didn't. Oh, I'm raging.
I'll put the
All I
clip
could
in.
see was like Xander's dancing, which was like,
Yeah, the
and
guy
I
in
was
the
just
red.
like,
The
that's
guy in
so
the red
bad.
was also like that. It was kind of embarrassing. And Buffy's studying French with Willow, and she's not doing very well at it. But she
No.
does look great in her like lilac halter that she's wearing.
Those just stink.
Her hair is just herring in this episode.
I feel like this whole episode she's pretty like on top of fashion. Sometimes,
She's slaying.
yeah, maybe the next episode or the next scene is a little bit questionable. I would
Well,
say
well, we'll see.
we'll get there.
Spike is standing right behind Buffy. I didn't notice this almost until like the kind of last minute of it happening, where Xander's trying to convince Buffy and Willow to go dancing. And they're like, okay, we'll take a break and dance. And the thing I loved is that if you look at Willow, she isn't dancing at first. She's doing that real awkward thing where like you pretend to try and talk to someone like when you're dancing, you know, she's like talking to Buffy
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, I've done that so many times when you don't want to join in. But Buffy goes straight back to her.
I wrote that. I wrote I wrote Buffy's shoulder shuffle and then the trademark sign beside it.
Yeah,
Because it's just the
that's just she just loves doing that. It's so funny. And I love that it goes from a mixture of the band that is playing, which is a band called Nickel. And it goes from that into the score. And it's quite like it gets quite like dark and tense.
yeah.
And it's kind of like while Spike is like stalking Buffy and like kind of watching her. And he tells a vampire to go and eat something, and then he kind of sets up the whole scenario by being like, there's a guy outside trying to bite somebody in it, you fucking shag.
Boy,
That was
there's a guy
verbatim,
there
wasn't
trying
it?
to buy. Get in the fucking chair. Get out of my pub.
It's so funny. And then basically Buffy runs outside and she saves that girl. And I love that the vampire's like, slay her. And she's like, slay ye.
Yes.
Which
I
I loved.
loved that as well.
Yeah, it was quite good. Buffy's fighting this vampire and Willow and Xander come and save the girl. And Buffy says, a snake would be nice.
Did you clock when Xander ran back to get it and he was poking in her bag? What was in her
Yes.
bag?
The tampon?
Yeah, and the yo-yo. I was
Oh,
like,
I
that's
didn't-
such. Yeah, there was a
I
red
didn't
yo-yo.
notice. I didn't notice the yo-yo, but I noticed the tampon,
And
which
I
I
just
love.
thought
I love that he kind of like doesn't know what to do.
it was
with the
very. I
tampon.
think that scene was very like comedic because it was very like
Yep.
you know
And
with
how
with
do we
everything.
feel? How do we feel knowing that Buffy is an applicator tampon kind of girl?
I feel good about it. I think a
I think-
girl should use whatever she feels is good for her flow.
But Xander basically comes back and throws her the stick, and she slays the vampire, and Spike comes out slow clapping, and it just reminded me of the guy in Not Another Teen Movie that wants to keep trying to do the slow clap.
Look, You can't just start a slow clap at any old time. You gotta wait for the right moment.
Yeah, so Spike comes out slow clapping and he's like, oh, well, I'll see you on Saturday. I'm paraphrasing. He's like, see you on Saturday? And she's like, why? What happens this Saturday? And he's like, I'll kill you.
Her reaction to that was like, you know, she's fought so many vampires and she's fought the master, but that sort of almost like shooketh her
It's
body
the,
to the core.
the confidence of it it's just like
Yeah.
she's never really fought a vampire who, yeah, well, maybe Darla was a wee bit like that. But she's
But I
when she
feel
wasn't
like
being like,
I don't want to go here.
I feel like she recognizes that he's not as stupid as the other vampires.
game recognizes game, you know?
Mm.
And Buffy's hair actually just looks great in this scene. I've just
Yeah.
got loads of points for like her hair looks good. And then we cut from that to like Sheila's leaving the bar with two guys. And he's like,
Yeah, do
Oh,
you really have a Cadillac?
Because I'm crazy about a cat.
and then the guys
yeah.
both disappear as she's walking. And then she turns around, she's like,
Not Sunny.
and then she turns around
Where'd you go?
and she's like,
Who are you?
it's just like the funniest way. She's like,
Who are you? Who
Yeah.
are you?
I was like, she was told like be surprised but also be scared, and she was like could only intermittently do it like for one frame each.
Who are you?
And pretend you've got vomit in your mouth.
Who are you? Who are you?
Oh, it sounds like one of those sticks that used to go.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good job. Who are you?
It's not a Toma.
It's not a tumor.
So,
Who are you?
and Spike kind of like fake seduces her and she follows him.
I would as well, to be fair.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
So we cut to the library and they're researching Spike, and Willow's wearing this nice wee like black sweater that's got like a rainbow kind of pattern on it. Willow's
Yeah,
got some great clothes in this episode.
she does.
And to be fair, there's a lot of clothing changes in this episode. So
Yeah.
far, there's already been like 4. And Angel shows up and tells him that Spike is literally the worst that they will ever have faced. And I love Buffy and Angel's wee flirty banter. I love that she like ribs him a wee bit about his age, and she's like, you know, you'd think after like 2 centuries of dating,
Dating, yeah.
you know it. And I love when Willow's like, wow, 2 centuries of dating, so that even if you only had 2 a year, that's still like 400. Why do they call it a mace?
Yes. And the way she taps the mace, like, why do they
It's
and
like a big
sh-
CG. It's like a big CGI mace or something.
Yeah.
It
It's
just looks
like
dead fake.
it's like about that size. It's a
Yeah.
massive mace.
And Giles asks Angel if he knows Spike by any other name, but as they turn around and look, he's already out the door. And I love that
And that
Sandra's literally like, all right, I'm putting a bell on that guy. Cut to the factory, and we've got Drusilla with one of our other famous characters, Miss Edith.
Miss
yes.
Edith speaks out of turn.
And then we see all of her dolls. And we kind of learn from Spike and Drusilla in this moment that she nearly died at the hand of a mob in Prague. Which I've been to Prague
Yeah.
at Christmas, so I totally understand.
Mm, yeah.
And
It's the
sh-
same
and Sheila
thing.
and Sheila's like tied to the wall, and Drusilla tells Spike basically to go hang out with the boys upstairs because
The boy doesn't trust you. He doesn't trust you. Get your fucking chair.
Yeah. And it's funny
I've
because
always
it's like
sorry, just related to the accent. One of my favorite YouTubers, Luxaria, shout out Luxaria, and there's one clip of Stacey Dooley that she always uses, and she's like, "Is this a gender fluid lip?" So I'll totally put it in because it'll be funny.
yeah.
But yeah, Drusilla basically tells Spike to go upstairs because the anointed Cher doesn't trust him.
Wagon wheel Watusi.
Because they're all chanting, aren't they,
Yeah,
for
they're all
some
singing
bitches.
"Turn Back Time" for Cher.
Down.
You have to turn back time.
Actually, it's. You think so? Ho!
And I love that Drusilla's lying in bed with Spike. She's like,
I think sometimes all my hair will fall out and I'll be bald. Get in the fucking
Yeah.
chair.
I
and
do love
Drusilla,
those little things that she does because
yeah.
I mean, with you doing drama.
All the stars inside the sky.
But like we both done drama at school and we know how hard it is to play those parts because,
I'm naturally mental, so it's not hard for me.
well, yeah. I mean, but I remember having to play like similar parts and it's quite hard to have that so freely.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean? Like it's quite hard
I
to
mean,
act like that just if you're not
Juliet,
mentally ill.
Juliet kills it, and she's already made a really distinctive, unique character so far.
Yeah.
Even that's why, obviously, even my like kind of, you know, poking fun at it or whatever is so easy to do because it's like so iconic and just like you want to like say things like.
Oh, my hair fall out. I'll be getting a fucking chair.
But I don't think we see her in this episode as a vampire, do we?
We do because right now she kills Sheila and her
All right.
face.
I wasn't sure
Her,
if you've seen it yet.
yeah, her face goes into vamp mode right now, and it's very quick. It doesn't show the transformation. It like it cuts to like Miss Edith. Miss Edith can't watch this, blah blah. And then when it cuts back, like one of the things I love that I recently watched in Todd McIntosh's video, the costume and kind of effects designer, was that Drusilla's vampire face is really built like a snake's.
Yes, it
So
is.
it's very, very snake like, which is like it's less bumpy and stuff. It's more like
Yeah.
that, which I love, absolutely love it. So do I. And then we cut back to the library, and we've got Willow like preparing the cross. Xander and Cordelia are like whittling sticks, and I do love that Cordelia's actually there, kind of like helping.
Yeah.
And then we see Buffy like lifting that machete, and then like goes down and she's like cutting peppers, and I'm like, ugh. I hope she's watched that.
What I did love was whenever Xander was like, remember when Saturday night used to be date night? And Cordelia just quickly went, well, you sure don't.
Yeah, I love that. I love she's like, my fingers are cramping. How long have I been doing this? Xander's like 4 minutes or whatever.
It's like, whatever, can I go now?
And she's like, well, Buffy doesn't need this many stakes. If this guy's as bad as what you say, it'll be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know. I thought, oh my God, and they look at her and she's like, well, I'm sorry, like we're rooting for you, but I'd be there myself, but I've got a leg wax.
And then Buffy realizes that she hasn't made any drinks or whatever, so she goes out to do that. And then we see Xander and Cordelia go to eat some of the crudités. And I'm like, it looks rotten. It's like bits of on cauliflower.
It was, I know the bits they lifted were pepper.
Yeah, because you saw her cutting the peppers, but there's like a big bit of cauliflower or something in there. Like,
Oh, I
what the
didn't.
fuck?
Oh, you meant to eat cauliflower?
I love
Maybe
the
it's
word
just, maybe it's,
crudité. And Buffy goes to make some lemonade, and when Willow comes to taste it, she's like, how much sugar did you use?
Sugar? It's very good.
I love Buffy's commitment to trying to make this night good because she's obviously so frustrated by the fact that like all of the stuff that she gets negatively put down for is only related to her trying to be good and like saving the world.
yeah.
So it's so frustrating for her, and now
And
she's really put in.
it
I'm like
is,
was really proud of her. She put in so much effort.
that's what I thought. Like, I mean, at the start when he said, oh, you're both in charge of it. And I thought, what, to get all the food, all the drink, doing all the posters. I thought that's a lot for a 16-year-old to take on.
Yeah,
And let's face it, she's done it all on her own.
yeah.
And I think we wouldn't have done that when we were 16. We would have had
No,
like a bag of Watsits or something.
oh, no, I don't even think we were asked to help do anything for
No,
open.
not for like parent teacher evening.
No, certainly
I can't even
not.
remember going to one actually.
I do remember there being one, but I don't really remember what happened. Our parent teacher was not all like in the assembly, and the teachers all sat at the
Yeah,
desk, and
at
then
different tables, like
yeah,
speed dating.
yeah. And to be fair, there were like no teachers at the thing really. It was very quiet night. It would appear, so it would.
Mm.
Um. So, oh yes, what I love actually about this as well is Willow's wearing this lovely wee green dress. So it's
Yes,
just
I thought she really, being a redhead, she really suits that. Sage green.
yeah, said yeah. Willow is really just killing it fashion wise in this
Yeah.
episode, which I absolutely love. Joyce shows up, and Buffy has Willow distract her from Snyder. And Buffy tells Snyder that her mum doesn't speak a word of English. So I'm like, she doesn't
Did
speak
you
a word of English.
did you notice when she was like, "Oh, mom, have some lemonade," and Willow's face is like
No, I
in the
didn't actually.
background.
Oh my god, I'll have to see that. That's so funny. And we see like a view of the clock, and we see the time passes like quite quickly in the evening. And Cordelia comes up to Buffy and she says, "Oh, you're looking a little slagged." And Buffy's like, "Well, I have 3 lives that don't mesh, like oil and water and some other unmeshable thing." And Cordelia's like, "Yeah, and I can see the oil." It's so funny. And then Joyce and Willow have kind of worked their way back round as Snyder kind of approaches, and he's like, "I'm afraid we need to talk," even though he's not Southern, but
But
we
what's
need to
sad is like
talk.
what's sad is like he sort of said to the 2 girls at the start, "Oh, whoever, whatever you do will impact what I say to your parents," and then he's
Yeah.
just backtracked on that, and he's just completely slated Buffy to her mummy.
Especially because Buffy really did, like, she did such a good job with this. It was so obvious that Sheila didn't help. And you would have thought he'd have been
Yeah.
like, she's really stepped up tonight, even though she's
Yeah.
a bit of a problem child. But I love that Cordelia is smiling this whole time, like while she's watching them walk
Yes.
away. And she's like, "When they're done talking, my guess, 10th high school reunion, we'll still be
You'll still be
grounded."
grounded. Yeah. She's
And
just absolutely living in the moment of Buffy being punished.
that's why I love when Willow then is like, "Cordelia, have some lemonade."
Yes, I loved, again, like I said, I loved that whole have some lemonade. We go back to the classic scene of them all researching in the library, and he finds Spike's bio, essentially, in a book.
Yeah, they
William
put
the
up Spike's
Bloody.
Wikipedia page.
It's because, and he's called William the Bloody because he drives, what was it, railroad spikes through their heads or
His
something?
name is William the Bloody, but he got his
Mm.
nickname Spike by torturing his victims with
That
railroad spikes.
that was it. That was it.
And they're
And we
like, "Oh,
do,
but he's barely 200 years old."
and then it becomes apparent in the last century, he's taken on 2 slayers and he's killed them both.
Yep.
And it sort of like redefines that moment because obviously at the beginning you have the vampires all bluster, "Oh, I was there at the crucifixion." And
Yep.
he did say he killed 2 slayers, but you don't necessarily would believe it.
Yeah.
It just sounds like what they'd say is bluster, but we actually find out it has
Find
been
out it's
recorded
true.
throughout history.
And also, Buffy's never met another vampire that's ever killed a Slayer.
Yeah, you're right.
We've actually never even really heard much about the other Slayers, except we know that they seemingly die young. And Buffy, she did say at one point in this episode, "I wonder if any other Slayers like ever had to go to school."
Yeah. And I think that sort of just reiterates how hard it is for her to play 2 parts.
Yeah.
Being the teenage schoolgirl that her mum wants her to be, but then having to save the world all the time. And you
Yep.
can't really do the 2 very well.
That's true. You just can't. So you can't. Trust me, I've tried.
I know, you just can't.
And it cuts right from there to Joyce comes up to Buffy and she's like,
Get in your fucking chair.
she's like,
In the
in the
fucking car.
Get your fucking little ass in a fucking car, you bitch.
Oh, that reminds me of Harry Potter. It's like,
Not my daughter, you bitch.
yeah, so basically Joyce is like, "Sling your rook into the car." And Snyder just goes up and turns the lights off. And at that
And everyone's
moment,
in the room.
I
But
know,
that's what
he didn't
that's
even
what
be
really
like, "Okay,
confu
guys, we're going home now. We're done for the evening."
he
So we
just
are.
turned the lights off and just was like, turned them off like there was nobody there, but there's still clearly meetings
Yeah.
going on.
He's like, "Well,
And I
now
just
that
thought
I've
that's
trash
wild.
talked Buffy, my evening is done."
Yeah.
And he just turns the wee light off. And as that happens, a group of vampires jump through the window. And then we get that like dramatic pan to Buffy. And we see her lovely thin eyebrow.
Yes.
That's the first time I've noticed it in this episode.
Really?
Yeah, it was very of the time, that thin eyebrow.
Yeah, it was.
And
They are
Spike's
coming
like,
back though.
"What can I say? I couldn't wait."
But I find it funny with his vampire teeth in. They're very,
I couldn't wait.
I couldn't wait. Not
he does
supposed to tell.
does he does struggle with the teeth, I think.
I think
Um
especially this is the first episode that he's really wore them because it's his first
yeah.
episode, obviously. But he does get used to them. 'Cause at least they're better. They're not like put way down here like that other girl. "Cordelia couldn't make it." Um. Oh yes. So Spike says he can't wait. I love that Buffy just grabs Cher and fucking flings it at him, and then
Yeah.
grabs her mum and runs. And there's just something about this whole scene where it just feel. I guess this is one of the most longest played out kind of fight scenes or like action scenes in Buffy.
Yeah.
It pretty much like it's from now right to the end of the entire episode, and it's like quite
Yeah.
like it's very slow, intense, but also action packed at the same.
And I think as well, because it's condensed within the school,
Yeah, yeah, it
so
feels
it makes it a
very.
bit tighter, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it feels very like everyone runs off in their different directions, and some Joyce and Snyder and a couple other people with Buffy are in one room. Xander and Giles and Jenny are in the library, and as they're running off, Cordelia gets grabbed by a vampire and screams, and Willow like lifts a big bust and
Yeah.
like smacks the fuck out of the vampire with it, which I loved because it was just a
I thought
great
that was brilliant.
moment.
She just went like, why? And I thought that's
That's
brilliant.
what I thought. And then they hide in the
Mm.
janitor's closet.
Yes.
So they do. And Spike has got one of the parents or a teacher or someone, and he says to him like, "I'm more of a veiled kind of guy, so I'm not gonna
You're
eat
too
you."
old to eat.
Yeah, so he snaps his neck instead. And he's like,
But I did write,
"I feel better."
which is funny, because as the series goes on, that becomes quite a thing, and you hear the snap, but they didn't show it on camera this time.
So we learn the phones have been cut, and Giles tells Xander to sneak out through the back of the library. He actually says, "Oh, there's a boarded up old sailor at the back of the library." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?
Like, where's that come from?
Where the fuck's that? Sailor back library?"
But
I
like,
still
how
love
would he
that
know?
always remains a mystery that you never really see them go
Yeah.
through, and I would love to actually see that,
Because
but
you
you never do.
see you do eventually see like the stacks, don't you?
Yeah, you see the stacks, but we don't go in
Yeah.
to them as much. We also see whenever Buffy runs through them at the end of season 3 and then jumps out the window. But
Mm.
a boarded up old
Spoiler
sailor.
alert.
So yeah, so Giles tells Sander to sneak out through the back of the library and to go get Angel. And in the room where Buffy and Snyder are in, Snyder's like, "It's a gang on PCP," and he goes to try and like go out through a window, and Buffy's like, "No, they'll basically kill you." And she's like, "I'm the only one." He's like, "Who do you think you are?" And she's like, "I'm the one that knows how to stop them." And Joyce is trying to convince Buffy not to fight them, but she says, "I'm not going out there."
I'm going up there.
Spike is wandering the halls and he's being all like, "Yeah, kitty, kitty, get in the fucking chair."
But what I loved was really,
I
I don't know if it's just of the time, but it was just, I was like, if I get one of your friends, I'm going to suck them dry.
I know, and I was like, "Me too, Spike. Me too." Spicy up at
Oh,
Sander.
please, don't do it.
Oh no. I would have walked out being
Ah,
like, "Oh no, what a pity. Don't suck me
oh
dry."
no.
Oh, I meant Willy's.
Um,
And we see Cordelia and Willow in the utility closet, and Spike is literally about to fucking smash down the door. And Willow's been so brave in this episode. Like, she put her hand over Cordelia's mouth to stop her
yeah.
from screaming. And hopefully Willow hasn't been eating any of those smelly crudettes or whatever, because her hand will be smelling like cauliflower,
Cauliflower.
which would be rotten. And we see Giles kind of man up in the library, and he says he's going to go out and like protect Buffy. And I love that Jenny's like, okay, like she doesn't try to stop him, but she tells him like to like be careful. And that's just when Buffy comes crashing through the ceiling.
Be careful.
Push these back as soon as I... Buffy, you're all right.
Which I love. And I love that Buffy's all dusty and dirty, except her hair is literally still like Faggot's kiss.
Yeah. She's like a little bit of dust just
Yeah.
wiped on her cheek. And I
No, it's
thought,
all over. She's like Dusty Springfield. Oh my god.
no, but she has a little black, like, Ashley mark there.
Yeah. She's
Which I
Dusty
thought was,
Aguilera.
yeah. And I thought it was quite a tender moment between Buffy and Giles. Like, you see where
Yes.
they've really bonded in
Yeah,
the
because
last season.
she tells Giles to like get her mom and her parents out of that room, and Giles is like, "I'll protect her like with my life," basically. And she says, "Well, I'm gonna go slay all these vampires, and then please save my man, right?"
What was it?
Um,
The word? What was it? She said she was like, set them up and knock them down or
yeah,
something.
set them up and knock them
Yeah.
down. Yeah, so she flings herself back into the ceiling, And this is where we have the scene with Joyce being annoyed at Snyder when he's like, I'm beginning to see a certain mother-daughter resemblance.
Yeah. And I just thought it is really like you can imagine Buffy at that age being that forward
Yeah.
and that forceful. But it's nice to see that side of Joyce.
But this is also what I love then. She's starting to maybe understand a bit of what Buffy has to dealing with Snyder.
Yeah.
And I love that this is the start of of Joyce's like hatred of Snyder that lasts well with it into the next
Yeah.
season as well.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loved because we see a parent or a teacher, I'm not sure which one, and he's trying to get out and he's basically pulled out by the vampires and killed. His like legs are shaking like through the window, and Joyce
Yeah.
is the one that goes up and like
Shuts
shuts it all and
everything.
pushes Snyder out of the way. Spike has his vampires at this point, like trying to break down all of the doors. And Buffy's sneaking up around the roof, and we see Xander and Angel outside, and they see that body that's been pulled out the window. And Xander asks if there's a plan, and Angel grabs him by the neck. Oh my god, Angel's evil! Oh my god! And we see that Willow and Cordelia are still trapped, and I love this moment because it was really like quite like genuinely scary because Cordelia's like, what are we gonna do? And Willow's like, pray. And it's just this moment, all of the threat and the terror all just feels really real. It's just really well done.
Yeah.
It's one of my
Remember when the
favorite
vampires
episodes for
broke into our
watching.
school?
Yeah, during the Grace,
Yeah.
and then they ran away when they heard me sing. I was like, Sandy, there's a vampire.
Sandy.
Oh, Sandy, baby. I'm gonna put a clip of me in because I've got that.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got it on my computer.
Oh my god.
On my cooter.
My god.
Andy. Oh my god, stop it. So the Spike throws like some sticks. I don't know if they're sticks, but sticks or something to the vampires, and they start poking because he realizes Buffy's on the roof, so he starts like poking all the sticks up, trying to stab Buffy. But Buffy happens to drop down through the roof right beside a vampire and just slays it. And I love that you see Joyce kind of like looking at the door, so she's only got like a very restricted frame of view, so she's not
Yeah.
able to see exactly what's going on. But I just love that Buffy's just
But
doing
I
it.
love that scene of just the arm coming up.
And she tells Joyce to wait a minute before coming out, and then Sheila
Yeah.
shows up and she's like, "What's going on?"
Some weird guys outside.
And Buffy doesn't realize, obviously, she's a vampire, and Sheila lifts the axe. And Spike sees Angel in vamp mode, and he calls him Angelus. Angel basically says, "Oh, I gave Buffy the tortured vampire routine, and she totally fell for it. Keeps her up my back when I'm feeding." I love that sound. It's like evil dead guy. And Spike says something here that I love. Is like, oh, he asks if Buffy fell for that Anne Rice routine, which is obviously a reference to Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
The kind of tortured vampires with a soul, which I love. Which, by the way, have you watched any of that series, Interview with the Vampire?
No, I haven't.
It is so good. I watched it all in one night.
What's it on?
It's on iPlayer,
Right. I'll have to start it then.
but it's
I'll start
fucking
it.
brilliant. The guy who plays Lestat is so beautiful.
See, because I love the original film, I was scared to start it, I think.
I'm the same, but it's a million times better than the film.
Well, it's going to be, isn't it?
And it's way gayer.
Is it?
Yeah, because that's the real story. They're actually they're gay together.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a
you
love
get that
story.
vibe anyway, don't you? Have you seen there's a new Nosferatu film coming out?
Yes,
Can't
Ferratu.
Yeah, Nosferatu. Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
Oh my god, we should make a picture of Joyce and write Joyce Ferratu. Yes, so Sheila bumps out behind Buffy and raises the axe to stab her, but Giles sees her through the wee porter cabin window.
out!
That was exactly what it sounds like. Buffy, look out! And Buffy grabs the axe and stakes a vampire at the same time, and Sheila just fucks way around down her own door.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
never see Sheila again.
But what I liked about
No one
whenever
cares
Spike
what you
and-
liked. I'm joking. Go ahead.
when Spike and Angel were having that little tete-a-tete about their history together,
Oh yeah.
Spike said something very interesting, which
Well, that happens actually next.
Oh, okay.
You
Do
are
you want me
just
to
as
lead into it?
you're too excited for this episode, and
I am.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
I
Buffy
am.
gets Joyce and Co out of the room first, and Buffy says, "Mommy, I'll be a wee minute." Um, and we see Joyce kind of like stop, and then we kind of cut to Angel is trying to trick Spike into feeding off Xander, but Spike
Oh,
realizes that he's lying to him, and Spike says,
yeah. So he said, "You were my sire."
"You were my
To him.
sire. You were my Yoda."
Yeah, you were my sire. But obviously, us watching it, we know.
You
So
were my sire.
there's a little bit of a untruth to that.
Yep. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that Spike wasn't really meant to be around for that many episodes.
Yeah.
So Joss Whedon had a real problem, and there's a lot of interviews out here that kind of back this up that James Marsters has actually given recently on a great podcast, video podcast with Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, and it's fantastic. He has a load of people on from different shows like Buffy and Agents of Shield and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen the podcast. Yeah, I've seen
And
it on
and he
Instagram.
and he was saying basically that like Joss Whedon just really he didn't like vampires being like glorified, but the audience just like absolutely loved Spike so much
Yeah.
that the network forced Joss Whedon into keeping him around. So I think that maybe there was meant to be this idea that it was a throwaway comment that
Mm.
Spike was like Angel was Spike's sire. Sorry, not supposed to burp. That maybe wouldn't have been developed had the original story went that
Mm.
Spike was going to get killed. But obviously, I also
Because
like
when
that.
I
And there's also the idea of like a spiritual sire, you know, because obviously they explore that even later
yeah,
in Angel the series, where it's like he was his mentor.
I did sort of look. I did look into it. I googled it because I was like, well, why did that line come out? And I thought the same. It's probably because he wasn't meant to be in it that long. But apparently, Joss Whedon had come out and said who his real. I don't know if you want to have a spoiler here, but who his real sire was.
Yeah,
But it was not so much he was his physical actual sire, but because it's the bloodline, it goes
yeah,
back through the whole bloodline. So
yep. So
it's
Darla
there.
was yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, because the bloodline goes Darla, Angel, Drusilla, Spike.
mhm.
Because I love obviously then an Angel whenever Drusilla's like, I'm having a baby, and she makes her own granddaughter
Yes.
out of her
Yeah.
grandmother, which I love,
Yeah.
which
But
is
yeah, no,
great.
I did like that little bit
I love that
because it
Spike
shows a
also
bit of
calls him in.
backstory.
Yeah, yeah, it shows that obviously they've got like a deeper something deeper that we don't really know, and obviously the rest of the season continues to
Mm.
explore that. And really, we never get another season again where there's like three vampires as the kind of baddies,
Yeah. They're
which
like the
is funny.
classic. Yeah, they're like the classic trio, but they're always seen as like the sort of
Like
tougher
they're like the
ones
three.
because there's always, as it unravels, like there's connections. Like it's the three vampires, but there's more to it than that. Like
Yeah,
they create relationships with each other.
yeah.
Like, sort of the Scooby Gang and then the vampires, and they encounter each other a lot, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
conversation between them all. It's not just a you turn up, we punch you, and then that's it.
yeah. There's
There's
a
that
lot of
build
like
up.
kidnapping and like using each other.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the thing. Well, Spike does say that at the end of the episode, you know, like a Slayer with like friends and a family, like that wasn't in the brochure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it's in some way goes to show like because obviously Angel and Drusilla and Spike are a family, a twisted kind of
Mm.
family as well. So it's almost like the anti Scooby Gang
Yeah.
in a way, except they're all ancient as fuck. I love that Spike calls Angel and Uncle Tom. He's like, "You Uncle Tom!" Calls him an Uncle Tom, and Angel and Xander go and escape. And then Spike's like, "Fee fi oh fun. I smell the blood of a nice young girl." Get there. Sorry, that's gonna be in here so much. And Spike says the last Slayer he killed begged for her life, which we obviously know wasn't true. Well, we don't know that
Mm.
yet, but we obviously know now that it
Yeah.
wasn't true. So it does make you wonder how much of Spike's. Obviously, you wouldn't be like the last Slayer I killed. Oh my God, it took me ages. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And I love the lighting in this scene because it's very dark and it's very dramatic, and Buffy looks all great standing there like side lit, and Spike says he'll be nice to Buffy, and he was like, it won't hurt a bit, and Buffy says, no, Spike, it's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved that line.
Yep.
But I loved the bit where he held the I think it was the pole he still had. And she's like, there's no need for weapons, is there?
Okay, she was
And he
like,
goes,
do we really need to use weapons?
yeah,
Like, I like them, they
they make me feel all manly.
yeah.
And I just
And
thought,
he's yeah. Like, fucking grab my pole and make me feel all manly.
well, I don't have a pole.
I'd be like, slam that pole down and start doing Magic Mike dance.
What, did like Pony Genuine?
Yeah. I love while that's happening, Angel and Xander are fighting vampires outside. And one of the things I kind of love about this episode is Xander's kind of bravery. And he was actually pretty sound in this episode. The fact that he's outside, like, I mean,
With Angel?
he's not great at fighting vampires, but he's
Yeah.
trying. He's at least
Yeah.
trying, so he is.
And
And
Angel sort of
Angel
helps him up.
saves. Yeah, Angel saves him. I think to kind of prove that he's not bad. And we
Mm.
see that while everyone's escaping, Joyce kind of turns back.
Yeah.
Because she's got a notion. She's got like a
I
sixth
know.
sense.
She's got a notion on her, doesn't she?
And Buffy is like fighting Spike, and unfortunately in this HD remaster, the stunt double is quite painfully obvious
No.
for
Yeah.
Spike.
Yeah.
But
It was really bad. Really bad. But I did think that
it was a good fight.
yeah, through the fight scenes, I think you can sense that Buffy realizes this isn't just a normal vamp that she can just dust. He's got a
Yeah.
lot more to him.
Spike's plucky. He's like just trying to beat the fuck out of her. He's not like trying to be all like suave and whatever. He's just literally being like
Yeah.
beat the absolute
He's
fuck out
doing
of
it
her.
because he wants to.
And Spike is about to bash Buffy with a fucking plank when Joyce smacks him in the head with an axe. And she's like, you get the hell away from my daughter.
Yes. Nobody harms my little girl.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll be me and Evelyn?
my little girl.
Do you think that'll be me and Evelyn, like when she's older and she becomes a Slayer?
Nobody. No, because everyone will be going to school. She's not real. Wait till your psychiatrist tells you you've imagined her this whole time. Oh my god.
I
That'll be
can't
you.
see her, Spike.
That'll be you.
I can't see her anywhere.
It's
that will be.
dark.
And little do they know, little to Joyce and Spike know, but this is actually the start of a beautiful relationship between Joyce and Spike,
Yes.
which I love.
I love their relationship. I really
Yeah.
do. And it's just the way he is infuriated and you see him go, woman, like that.
He just shares it.
What? The flip.
Women, oh.
Wagon wheel Watusi.
But yeah, no,
Joyce like, stay away from my little girl. Oh.
it's a very good first introduction between the two of them because I love the next one because
Yes,
they connect the dots, don't
at the
they?
end of the season, we see that the police are outside the school, and they approach Snyder, and the police say to him like, "What do you want? What do you want to do? Do you want me to say that it was like gang-related PCP?" And Snyder says, "Well, what do you have in mind? The truth." And that's when the first time we get a sense that Snyder knows what the fuck is going on in Sunnydale. It's
But
the first
just
hint.
as a quick question, do you think because he knows, because we've seen this now, that he knows Buffy's the Slayer and that's why he's so harsh on her?
Well, this is the thing. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we know later in this series that there'd be really no I think he's being harsh on her, obviously, because I only know this retroactively looking, but he's been placed in that school by the mayor, and the mayor obviously knows that Buffy is the Slayer, and he obviously doesn't want Buffy getting in between any of his plans or whatever.
Mm.
So it's whether it goes this far back where Snyder has been given that directive from the mayor to
Mm.
make things difficult for Buffy.
And I think
Because especially remember when
having-
she's when whatever happens at the end of this season happens.
mm,
You
I
know,
think as well, like
you
when
little
you get
troll.
when you get deeper in the season, you sort of you sort of see him get worse with her, and
Yeah.
it does make me think like it opens the world a little bit, doesn't it? Because then you know that he's in on something. Who else is? And
Yeah.
then that obviously builds for season 3 as
Yeah.
well. Already. You know what I mean? We're so early in season 2, but it's like foreshadowing for season 3.
It is good that they dropped this in here first, because then it does give us a bit more. Because it would get pretty boring if Snyder was just out for Buffy for no reason. But now that we know
Mm.
that he kind of knows what's going on,
Yeah.
it does start to build that bit of a mystery. And we see Jenny and Giles outside the school, and Giles says to Jenny, "Oh, I'll totally understand if you want to avoid me from now on." And she just
Yeah.
takes his arm, and she rips off his arm, and she beats him to death with it. Oh yeah, we see Xander and Angel as well. They're walking away, and that's when Xander kind of says, what's a sire? Like, what does that mean? Like, what did
Yeah.
Spike mean?" And Joyce tells Buffy basically that Snyder said that she was a troublemaker.
Snyder said you were a troublemaker.
Joyce doesn't care right now because she's got a daughter who's resourceful and cares about other people and looks after everyone. And Buffy's like, "Oh my God, when is this going to wear off?" And I love that Joyce is like, "Oh, at least a week." So I thought
I love
thought
that.
it was good because it was like finally a little bit of a break for Buffy, because
Yeah.
she just gets fucking not
Hounded.
pounded. Did you say
Hounded.
pounded? Oh,
No,
hounded.
hounded.
She gets pounded. No, she does later in this season.
Bum chicka
And we have Cordelia and Willow still in the janitor closet praying, and I love that. Well, it's funny because Cordelia's saying like, "I promise I'll never be mean to anyone again, unless it's that time of the month, in which case I don't think you or anyone else can like hold me accountable for that."
Yeah.
And Willow's like, "Ask for some aspirin." Willow was just like a secret MVP in this episode, like because she was
Yeah.
so good. Like she was like stepping up to help Buffy, then she saved Cordelia, and then the way she kind of was the strong one while they were
Yeah.
like kidnapped in there as well.
And I
And
think those little things like that, even with Xander being nice to Angel, they all add up to the character building of each person individually, but you don't see it. It's not like they have specific character driven episodes. It's just the little bits that you see.
yep.
So it's done very cleverly, I think.
Yeah, it really is done very well. This is the thing about like Buffy, where I feel like the character development is so equally spread. It's like as they
Yeah.
get to know each other, we get to know more about them
Yeah.
as well. And I'm like, even though I don't like agree with a lot of the Xander hate that is out there, and I have my own issues with him just during the rewatch, he's like now he's starting to grow on me more again. Because
Yeah.
well, when I saw his hairy arms in the last episode, and I was just like, I kind of fancied him.
There is something beautiful about him. Is it in this series where it's the swimming one?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I
you
would have
see him
loved
in
if he had a big fat bulge dong, but he didn't. It was all very like
Hmm.
put away. Oh, there's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Boots.
Pussy.
She's the old one.
Oh, is it Puss in Boots?
You want to see her?
Yes, sure, show me. You be okay, boy?
Yeah.
Hello, pussy.
Meow, meow, meow.
She does me, my God. You okay, baby? Maybe do you want to come up and see? Want to come see Auntie R, Amanda? Give me a kiss.
Hello,
Hello,
Abe.
Are you okay? You gonna wave? Hello. Oh, she's not having
Oh.
any of it. Poor thing. And then we cut to Spike and Drusilla in the factory, and he's all glum that he didn't get to kill Buffy, and that's when he says, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, a Slayer with family and friends was not in the brochure, so it wasn't." And he says, "Well, now I'm going to have to go and make nice with the annoying one, aka
Yeah.
Cher."
Wagon wheel Watusi.
Like, our numbers are depleted, and you've ruined the festival of Synthidious.
Why is that so
Oh.
good?
I don't know.
You need a black wig.
I've got loads of black wigs. Our numbers are depleted. Oh. And basically, Spike starts laughing. He's like, "Do you want to know what? See if I had to do it all over again, I'd still fucking do everything that I did, except first I would do this." And then he grabs the anointed Cher. He's like, "Oh," and shoves him in the cage. And she's like, "No." And then literally like pulls him up in the chain, like up into the sky, to the beam of light, not into the sky, up into like the ceiling. And then literally just murders a child. And she's like,
Yeah.
"No."
Well, he said actually it's about time you had some fun around here, and then murdered
Yeah,
the
he says,
child.
A little less ritual, a little more fun. Get
Yeah.
the fucking chair.
Get in the fucking cage.
and then Spike is like,
Let's see what's on TV.
sorry, I realized my English impression is not the way it is. Like,
Let's see what's on TV, innit, you slag?
But being
and that's
in
when we
what
see the
was-
smoking cage. It's like,
Yeah,
that's not, he's a murderer.
because obviously I live in England. The inconsistencies in his accent.
Yeah.
So like at the start when
Alright,
he says, "Oh,
Drusilla.
he says just smile up," like a northerner.
Yeah.
But then later on, he's like, he's very southern, very cockney.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously
And
not
when
for...
Drusilla comes out, she's like,
Alright, Spike.
Alright, Daisy, Spike.
Alright, Spike. Kill if a princess, right?
I can't fucking see it.
I can't see it. Fucking shove a railroad, Spike. Through it.
Little
No.
Mercedes.
Spike, no. Little Mercedes. No.
Don't do it.
No, go away. So I suppose I should go.
Don't play with other boys.
So if every vampire was like the crucifixion, it'd be like Woodstock in it. No. And I kill if a princess, right?
don't know what accent that was. Or Kula. Oh no, that was going to be. I accidentally go Indian when I try to do Newcastle. The only thing I can
Yeah.
say in like a Newcastle accent is the two things that I can say as Cheryl Cole from Max Factor, which is right. If you've just done an audition, I'd be like, I feel like you struggled, and I know what you're capable of.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
I feel like
That's
you
all you
struggled.
can say.
That's all I can do.
It's a really hard accent though to
It
do.
is really hard.
I know what you're capable of.
I feel like you struggled.
I feel like you struggled.
But yeah, and that's that episode over. So it is,
It is, yeah, all done.
and that's it. And that is really
And
just like
what a great introduction for two big characters that we have coming
Yeah.
up.
for Spike, Tina Aguilera, and Drusilla. I couldn't think of anything else to go with Drusilla. Josephine Ella. Yeah, this is the start of them, and I'm so glad that they get to essentially be part of the show for
Yeah.
7 to 8 more years.
And it's great to see how they develop throughout those 7 years, because they
Yeah.
do go through some very big changes, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's very interesting to go back and see Spike at the core, what
Original
he
Spike.
was. Yeah, like what he's always been since he was a vampire. And it's just that raw, you don't have a character like that in Buffy, like just that raw sort of anti-establishment punk, doesn't really
Yeah,
give a shit about rules or how things are done or rituals like St. Vitus. He doesn't care. He'll do it his own
Yeah.
way.
and this
And
is
I think
really
that's
like
interesting to have.
the beginning of the in world building in Buffy as well.
Yeah.
Which becomes a really developed, rich history of like flashback episodes and developed characters with, Dara and Angel and
Mhm.
Drusilla and Spike. Sorry, let me do that again. And this is the start of like the deep kind of rich in building of the world within Buffy as we find out more about like Dara and Drusilla and Spike and Angel. And obviously there's whole episodes dedicated to that storytelling, especially in this season as well, as they unveil more of the kind of
Yeah.
the lore, more of the lore.
But I think it's amazing that those, like, the Spike, Drusilla, Angel, Dora sort of quadrant of vampires, they're the core vampires that we come back to time and time again.
Yeah.
Because they've established that Angel's the oldest vampire that they've met so far, obviously before the Master, but, sort of decent vampire that's not trapped in the Hellmouth. But
Well, Darla,
To
obviously, but
see-
she died.
to see the characters that he once was involved with when he was a vampire,
Yeah.
and not this tortured soul,
Well,
is
that's it, because
interesting.
obviously then they do have to deal with kind of how that affects Buffy, like meeting
Mhm.
almost, Angel's
Family?
ex-friends or, bad guys that he used to run around with, unknown.
Yeah.
And it kind of forces her to have to deal more with what he did as Angelus, because right now it's just very like she doesn't really have to think about it because obviously because he's good
Yeah.
now, but she doesn't
That's who
really have.
that's the character she's met. So
Yeah,
that's the character that she's dealing with. But she knows that he's older and she knows that he's obviously done what he has, but she doesn't know the extent of it yet.
yeah,
And that becomes apparent, especially with Drusilla,
yeah,
and
definitely.
what they're all capable of
And the good
when
news
they're
is too,
together.
it's not overly that far ahead where all of this really starts to come out as
Yeah.
well. Because obviously by the midpoint of the season is where they really set up what's happening in season
Mhm.
2. It's not like, a lot of shows will maybe do like 15 to
Mm.
16 episodes, and then the last few of the season will be a
The
big
build up.
story. But
Yeah.
this build up is maybe like 8 episodes, and then
Yeah.
we're just fully into like the second arc. So it's very exciting. And
Yeah. I feel
it
like
does make you realize as well, like obviously when you think about Buffy and Angel's relationship, it really doesn't go on that long. But it always
no.
feels like it's this
Yeah.
big romantic thing.
Yeah. It does.
But
And
yeah.
it does. I think that's probably because we wait so long for, the gap between the seasons.
And probably also because when you watch it in real time, it is in real time. It's literally 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. And I just love how season 2 has like this underlying story, but it also does filler episodes, like what you said earlier. Like there's one coming up.
The
I think
next
it's the
episode.
next one.
Yeah.
And I really
Well,
enjoy that episode.
the next two, or the next
Yeah.
even 3 are almost quite filler episodes,
Yeah.
because we've got Anchor Mommy Girl, Reptile Boy, and then Halloween.
Yeah. And I love Inca Mummy Guard. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
don't know if it's because of what we've learned, our
I'm
education, and
badass.
it's
And because we love
really like,
mummies.
yeah. I'm sure he's the Egyptian king, isn't he?
Yeah.
With his pyramid lamp that he used to have.
Oh, sure, I lived in Egypt, remember?
You were?
Remember I lived in Egypt?
Oh yeah, you and Daddy were
No, when I
sunning.
when I went to Egypt to do my missions.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. It was around
Silly
Christmas as
bitch.
well, wasn't it?
It was 18 years ago, like this week.
That's depressing. 18 years ago.
Yeah,
I
18
can't
years ago.
believe that.
I'll put in a picture here of me looking rotten in Egypt on a camel next to the pyramids.
On a camel. On a camel, get in a fucking chair.
I just love like season 2 obviously carries on in the same vein of season 1. I mean, in terms of like the coloring and how dark it is, because they were both filmed on like the same set stock of film. So they have
Okay.
that same kind of like grainy look before they switched to digital in season 3.
Mm.
But obviously we're watching the remaster, so we're obviously getting a digitized version of it. But
Yeah.
I've been also downloading just the original kind of format ones to watch as well, because they are so much more atmospheric and
Yeah.
scary Oh my god.
Scar-Eye.
We're hoping that David will return from his big super secret adventure refreshed and ready to jump into the rest of season 2. But if not, we've got some other great guests lined up until David comes to reclaim the throne. So we'll give a wee shout out to David because we miss him very much. So
We do. Mr. David.
Yes, we miss you. Claps on all of your successes, you fucking bitch.
That's for everyone.
And yeah, we'll just say thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I said tuning in the way David did. Thanks so much for listening and watching. And if you don't follow us already on Instagram, make sure to follow us at Up the Buff Pod. Also on YouTube, where we post weekly for free. And you can also subscribe to our Patreon for free. And we'll also be putting bonus content up there as well, such as outtakes, whatever. It's all for free. There are paid membership options, but we've yet to really explore what we want to do with them. But feel free to sign up for it's less than the price of a cup of coffee, but also just sign up for free. And you can basically
Kill it for me. Kill it for me, Spike.
Be in a fucking chair.